All right, good morning, good morning. Today is day 28, number 28. Jeez, man, crazy. 28 days, 28 trade sessions already. Does not feel like that long. Does not feel that long. So starting off this morning, I don't have any economic releases again that I have to be aware of. So nothing on that front. I should just double check here real quick. No. Okay. So zooming out, starting on the daily chart, same pattern still happening. Yesterday we did close about halfway back up on the day. Of course, we're going to find some buys here. Is it enough for us to maybe not make this a downtrend correction pattern? Maybe, but you know, it could just be a small bounce. Maybe we find some sellers again today and we keep going back down. I'm still, unless I see, you know, something that really tells me otherwise, I'm still leaning towards this market wants to go down. You know, we've got to like regain this moving average with some confidence for me to kind of look at it the other way at all. So that's kind of my outlook there. We do have a gap up this morning. Taking a peek at the hourly chart. Still thinking down on the daily. On the hourly chart, we did get a nice reversal through yesterday. The market did react quite nicely, respected the 20, which is what we like to see. And the most recent swing point right now that we're trying to hold and stay above is 77.50. Now on this last little extension, it is kind of failing. It didn't get rejected immediately, and we did get a close up there, so it's really important that we kind of stay above here. You know, maybe the moving average is the absolute lowest for this trend to continue to the upside. We do not want to see a breakdown of that level. So that's kind of where we're at. I do want to mention that I've been watching for more early morning setups. I don't really trade them right now because I don't want to implement something that I don't normally do, but I'm recording it for, you know, for science. And we had kind of a nice reversal top that pushed straight down quite aggressively underneath the moving average, and then we got our nice two-legged pullback, which now is the trade that's in play right now. And looking at the 1 minute time frame, we did have a nice signal right at the beginning that we could have used if we were looking at it for that type of entry, but if we weren't, we did have a nice 6 candle one-time push in a row, followed by a slight move back to the moving average with a low one entry right there, which we could have got in for the second part of the move. And none of these, it got a little choppy through here, but systematically it never came back up and broke, which would have hit a trailed stop. So could technically still be in this trade now that we've got below this very low of this like local swing point by 1 tick and struggling. Probably would have closed the trade. But just another little piece of information for the book, because like I said, I'm not sure if I want to be trading out of cash open times like the New York open times, but it seems like, you know, for like 2 hours ish before the open, the setups still do have nice, you know, they seem to work. But depends on news and blah 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 too. If we have releases that are happening just before open or around open. Yesterday and today we didn't have anything, so yeah, was good though. Good morning one time. So yeah, that's our outlook on the day so far. We know we're leaning potential short unless we get very clear, you know, price action telling us to go the other way. We have roughly like a 30-point gap up. Local swing. And we've got our purple lines on for yesterday's candle on the daily chart. So we are good to go. Nice push right back up after like basically a failed extension now. Failed breakout to the downside. Can we break back up above our local swing? I got you. Yep. So as long as there's liquidity to make it so you don't get slippage, for sure. That makes sense. So we did just test above our local swing high. We'll see if it was kind of a liquidity poke and this market is going to go down, whoops, or if we can hold. It's a pretty nasty response so far, but it could still hold. We're kind of using this first couple candles here for some information to see it's a good test of the moving average. Right back to the high. Trying to remind myself, just like the last couple days, my only objective still for today is to focus on taking AAA versions of my couple setups, nothing else, and practice managing them the way that my system says to manage them. That is my goal again for the day. Never gained a high there. Our pullback failed to break a high, so this second attempt could go lower than the first attempt. Okay, they're testing a little bit lower. Do we hold liquidity, or is this a failure and we are going to go lower? This would be a super cheeky long position, but does kind of look like we're failing. See if they have one more go at it. Nope, we got a new low. Okay, so we're gonna start off again by creating a yellow trap line. This teased a reversal, which then failed and broke the other side. So this is the dominant force for me so far. Let's see if they continue to push it down and hold it. If this comes back up and breaks above my yellow line now, then I have to sit on my hands till I get another swing point, because then I'll have lower lows and higher highs, which is a megaphone pattern, which is my big no-no. As soon as I see that, it is absolutely my big signal for me to not participate in the market. So as long as we can hold, we're chilling. It did only barely poke below, which is noteworthy. It's actually one tick, so gonna be careful. I'm still not gonna, you know, execute any positions or anything during this. Not really too interested. Pretty big volume in this candle relative to the last couple 1 minute candles. Second highest candle volume of the day. It's actually even more than the opening candle. That's pretty interesting. Oh, it's not here though. That's strange. Wonder why it looks different. Oh no, I see. It's actually not there either. It's just zoomed in. Okay, my bad, my bad. We are holding. Candles aren't making lows. They're trying to push this back. It's getting pretty close to breaking that high. It did too. So we have an expanding pattern right now. So I have no lines on my chart now, and I am absolutely forced to chill. This is not what we want to see. What I want to see. I need to see an extension of one side now, and I need to see it hold something and create a second step to kind of give some confidence that it'll continue to go in a direction, rather than now maybe we fail this top and we come all the way back down to the low again, right? It's extremely difficult to trade for my systems. So this condition, I'm going to do nothing. Yeah, it's exactly what I definitely did not want to see. Look at this. We're all the way back down to the low now. Craziness. Is holding to the tick so far. See. I've learned in the past that if I see this pattern, it is I'm about to get put into some nasty pain if I try to trade it. So I completely avoid it nowadays. Not that there's a 1 minute pattern executable anyway, which I'm noticing more and more, to be honest. The first like half an hour of the session, first 15 minutes at least, is so quick and volatile that because I use a candlestick pattern as an entry signal in the right context, often there's no trading because it goes back and forth so quickly. That unless you were just limit ordering an extreme, your chances are your order, like if you were to actually pull the trigger off the candlestick pattern itself, is going to be basically in the dead nuts middle each time. So not worth it for me. Expanding price action continues. This is a little bit further of an extreme now than we've been seeing, so see if one side becomes stronger. So stronger push than we've seen so far. And we did break out of the megaphone now after kind of respecting it here again. So we may see dominant forces to the short side, which was our overall analysis on the larger time frame, right? We're still leading short. I was trading Bitcoin futures last night when I shouldn't have been. It was way too late, but there was a possible trade setting up and I was sitting there stalking it and it didn't look perfect. So I did something that I don't normally do, and I tried to fade the position. I took the opposite position, and I caught myself doing it. I was in the trade for like 15-20 minutes, I'll say, and it was still kind of hovering, not really failing or succeeding. And I said to myself, you know, what are you doing? You don't ever trade this. Like, this is like a new concept, right? I would trade the pattern, but I don't necessarily trade the failure of the pattern if it looks poor. So I cut the position, which felt really good to listen to myself and like cut the position, because I knew that it's like, yo, you've been doing all this practice for discipline and consistency, and here you are about to do a trade, or you're doing a trade that you don't normally do. So I killed it and then walked away, and I'm glad that I did, for sure. Was trying to outsmart my own plan. It's horrible when that happens. But at least this time I caught myself and I got out of it, and I didn't allow it to just, you know, try to work anyway. So it looks like shorts are, you know, stronger currently. This is a pretty nasty trap still, so I'm gonna put the yellow line back on. I do not. I use a old I actually use Binance futures. I trade Binance futures because years ago when I bought my original Bitcoin stuff, that's where it's always been. I sent some Bitcoin to BitMEX in the beginning, and I traded BitMEX futures for a while because I was like, 100x leverage, let's get it. When I was like really new, I didn't understand anything and just thought that that meant that I could like 100x my wins and my, you know, my losses, and not really understanding what leverage was really for. So that was a disaster. But yeah, nowadays I just trade Binance futures. Looks like this low one entry is trying to work, surprisingly. Yeah. Got a 1-tick poke so far. going to circle this for review. Technically, we had our precursor, we had our 5 candle one time in a row, first candle to make a low, not too far extended from the moving average. I just, even though we did break out of our expanding triangle and stuff, I guess I was still a little shook on the day, nervous because of the megaphone opening. And I just, yeah, we are pretty, I guess we have broken out of it and there's no real signs that that's continuing. So this was arguably a miss, but the opening makes me hesitant, makes me very nervous. But technically all systems were go for that entry. I would have exited it right here though, as soon as that teased a 1 tick poke and started to go green. Even though it did continue, that tease would have made me exit the trade. Interesting flat top here, rising bottoms. Oh, we got above it a little bit there. So one thing that I have noticed, and that I'm interesting to see if it's going to happen again right here, this setup, this low one, anytime the one entry happens, it's very, very high probability that the market comes down, we extend, and then it comes all the way back up and tests the entry almost to the tick, which would be like 88. And then it extends again. I've noticed this over and over and over on that trade setup. It comes back and tests those entries and then continues a second time. So it's like 2 ticks from entry right there, which is close enough. If it fully extends again, it'll be another one for the book that kind of confirms that same thing. A pretty nasty rejection candle so far. I'm assuming it has something to do with, like, you know, there's a lot of positions that were initiated there, so it's a decision point again. Be lots of liquidity happening there. Lots of people would be, you know, quickly in and out, getting out at break even, which would provide more liquidity to people selling again. The entry would have been 88 systematically. So yeah, we were 2 ticks from it. It's happening so often that I'm noticing, like, that I've been recording it, that I need to start to like basically exit the position and then just put a resting limit order at the same spot again, understanding that I made 2 to 1 on the first exit, so using 1 again to re-enter is better than holding the pullback, giving back the gains for the second leg down, because I could lock the gains, risk half it to get back in, and then potentially go a second time. And that eliminates the break even, and it also eliminates losing all of what you already made if it did come and stop out. That to me is like the best option. I haven't made that adjustment to the strategy yet because I'm still recording, but I am noticing it happen that way very, very often. Looks good. No, we're trying to hold a higher low. Looks like it. Looks like we are trying to hold a higher low possible if it closed above these other 2 candles. Ooh, maybe we're not going to close above the 2 flag candles. Anyone's guess off that, I guess. No edge. Closed basically in the middle of them, so it checked below and above that little accumulation spot. Little shakeout. Expand the circle to these 2 swing points because they're together. It's important. One tick higher. A little bit of indecision down here now. 5-minute candle is going to close as an inside candle. Coming back up. Would have taken out that trade now. To hit that stop loss. We're trying to regain here a little bit. Technically now we have a 2-legged pullback. See what kind of price action we get here. Wouldn't want it to go too much further if it was going to act as a two-legged pullback. It's kind of the perfect spot on the 5-minute chart. Okay, that's a pretty good candle. See what happens here. Ooh, it's not gonna close up. Not really half of it, and it didn't close as a hanging man. It's difficult for me to short underneath this. I'd be shorting right into this. I'd rather it have done something a little bit different up here. Giving a cheaper entry, but I don't want it. Not yet. Didn't really form exactly like I was looking for here. Another indecision. Difficult. It may still act as a two-leg pullback and it may fire and work. Kind of looking more and more like it, but didn't get presentation exactly like I was really looking for. Should get full extension. I am trying to decide if I want to take a re-entry if it gave it. Ooh. It's about to give it. It just gave it. So this would be back to the break-even check. the entry. Then if it rolled over and went lower, then I could use that new swing point to eliminate some risk. But I guess systematically, I would be in this trade. So it would make sense to do that. I don't like this pattern though. Big candle, indecision bar, test below, reverse. It's like a perfect reversal pattern. But technically, there has been no opportunity yet to remove some risk from this trade. This one pattern right here is what's making me struggle to just join the ask right here anywhere. Because I could, right? It'd be 100% valid for this trade. It's like a beautiful long reversal pattern right here. And if it worked, it would be the failure of the low 2, which is potentially really good. Long 85. Ah, yes, you're playing into the opposite side. That, I mean, makes sense. The short looks like it's failing. This pattern right here is what prevented me from joining the ask right here. Right where you went long would be my re-entry for short. Nice, there you go. If this little pattern here holds and this fails the 2, we could see a quick move back to the moving average. It's kind of like a deciding point. I'm getting mixed signals though, so I'm not really interested. As much as like being valid, I could hit the ask anywhere right here and it'd still be the same trade that I'd be in if I actually took this 2 leg that was struggling to get into. But the reason that I didn't was because of this pattern right here, which I don't know if that's a good decision or not, to be really honest. I guess the question I need to ask myself is this pattern something that would have made me close the trade? Technically, no. Systematically, no. So I guess it's still valid to be short here, but it's just conflicting patterns now, so I'm like, I'm on the fence hard. $11.07, yeah, you got your 2 points right real quick. It's hard. It looks like there's a lot of people struggling right now because price is coiling. The 2-leg pullback wasn't perfect presentation wise, so I couldn't get in there. But then it gave me a retest to get in here. But do I want that retest? Couldn't decide. So I'm just doing nothing. because this specifically is really what made me hesitate really hard. Looks like it's leaning more and more like it might squeeze it out, which would then create a 2-leg pullback on the 5-minute chart. So I'm going to be careful here and ready for potential, you know, good failure up here. If we break through the top and it pushes, you know, quickly to the moving average, then no. But if it sets up with a failure up above here, then we could get a nice 5-minute 2-leg pullback move on the first push. Like it could be great, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Price still coiling technically. That's gonna be my approach though here. Hey man, I mean, that's really good of you. Like, I'm like a third voice and I definitely don't want to influence anything. If your system fired, that's actually phenomenal that you were able to just like ignore me and what I'm saying and just do your own thing. That's, I mean, that's proper. That's good. I don't want to influence at all. So I am definitely stalking this failed breakout right here. To be getting closer to the moving average. The first spike down, 2-leg pullback on the 5-minute chart, back approaching the moving average is like literally my AAA setup. So if we get a failure here, be getting short. No trade underneath it though. There's definitely some sellers here. There's definitely buyers here as well. So we're gonna stock the entry and go from there. Don't want to see a slide through. We want to see a small push through and failure. The double top. It technically counts, but I'd rather it poke through. I would really rather it poke through. Red doji candle. Not good enough. Okay, now we got to poke through. We have a 1-tick poke through so far. Let's see what we get for some price action now. Okay, we're exploring up a little bit. It's okay. Only interested if we get a very clean failure setup now, though. It's getting less likely. We now have hit the moving average. So this is last ditch effort. Has to set up off here or I'm no longer interested at all. Nope. All right, scratch and setup. No setup. It's already too far. It's already far enough now that we have a floor for it to bounce back off of. So, gotta move these megaphone lines. So good stock, no setup. So do we have potentially a V reversal trying to form on the 5-minute chart now? Didn't fail liquidity and didn't fail moving average quickly, so it's got potential now. If it was gonna fail, it should have already failed. I feel like a pullback long entry is the better trade now. Hourly chart did pull all the way back, retested the low, and we're bouncing. Is bouncing fairly convincingly on the lower time frames as well. We're back up into the underside, our ceiling, which we lost this morning. But we have some potential floors here to try to hold us up and create some more momentum to the upside. I'm not too interested in shorting here. I'm more interested in a proper long setup, if it's set up correctly. A little one tick poke so far. Did close above though, so see what happens here. Yeah, more bullish pressure. So not really giving us a clean entry setup that I'm looking for, but context wise, we're on the right side of the market. We know we're reading correctly this morning, so demand is definitely high. Just this tiny test below was able to push us higher again, so it's our biggest pullback candle on this move up. It's a bigger pullback. Right back to our potential floor now. I will say that technically now, right, this is still a two-legged pullback. It just didn't happen from the liquidity point. Sellers waited for it to come all the way back up. It never held the moving average. We completely engulfed this candle now. Scary looking. It's not something that I can take a trade off of, but interesting currently. That would have just triggered the trade. It's the second entry short now. Interesting to see if they end up running it down for a new low now. Candle's gonna close as like a huge engulf sell-off candle. Yeah, wow. That's a very bearish candle engaging that second entry short. Did do it off of the moving average. So we do have our actual two-legged pullback in full force right now. Unfortunately, no opportunity there for us to get involved. We got a nice one-time push happening currently on the 1 minute chart. Yeah, I was like Definitely not really expecting that much pressure to come back in. I mean, I know that this is where the sellers were this morning, so they did wait to basically the same spot, right to that ceiling. It is technically still the two-legged pullback reacting off the moving average, but huge engulf candle. Looks like they are pushing it right back to the low, expecting. So if we do this out, right, this was leg one, this will be leg two. We got 46.03 to 46, like let's say like 8, so we got like just over 20 points. 97. So we'll see if this market goes to around 77. Yeah, I mean, there you go. 77, 20, 25. So there's the measured move target. A little bit further, a couple more points would be a little bit more exact, but yeah, no action available, but still respecting TA. That may give us another opportunity at some point. It's good information. We've now checked below the swing points. Yeah, we got one more down here. On our hourly chart, though, that does confirm potential reversal from this above point. Strong one-time push happening on increasing volume too. There's your measured move target. So leg one to leg two, the two-leg pullback to the moving average didn't really give us a clean entry, but respected the parameters of the trade. And respected the target location that we expected to get out of that type of trade entry. $11.30. What's our volume like this morning? So this morning we actually have standard like volume, nothing crazy, no drive like condition volume, nothing like that. We've achieved the point where we were trying to get to. We got our measured move and we broke full extension. Not really interested in a low one opportunity down here yet because we are fairly stretched and the market did achieve where it was trying to go. So even if it formed a low one, I'd be too hesitant to take it down here. It would have to pull back quite a bit because distance. It's a quick, big move. Decent signal for a low one, no fire, no entry. Squeezed out any early traders. We are closing the gap. Our moving average is catching up. Still no trigger. Hasn't been a candle that made a low yet. I'd rather not take it off of that. It's probably going to give it off of that though. Yep, there's the trigger. So that was first entry short. Let's see if we hesitate and give second entry short, which I would like better. Might not though. Visually on the 5-minute chart, we got 1 minute left in this 5-minute candle. Yeah. So we're going to be careful here. The looks of this 5-minute candle could be the start of a potential reversal. Don't like shooting stars at the bottom. We got a small poke below and a reversal back up off of a push like that. Could be a good mean reversion entry. No test below yet though. Low one entry still active. Didn't break the low. Not interested in a sell again at the retest because it didn't actually achieve a low. the indecision candle coming back like this before going the other way is not as good for reversal for me. I'd rather it have gone the other way first. Because this way it creates a higher low, which I'm not interested in. Retest of the entry location. Okay, at least we got a double bottom now. Does count. There we go. So it's already went a little further than we would want to see on that type of play. So the low one entry right there. Gave the risk removal wick. Adjust to there. Now you get your full target. I'm nervous with these trades. That's 2 now I've missed. Same setup. I need to have a more defined allowance, because I say, like, I have written down that depending on how stretched it is from the moving average, it's a yay or nay on if I can take the setup. And like, you know, it did pull back, and kind of like we even said it was starting to get closer. It wasn't like way down here when it was way up here, but I don't have like a defined enough rule, I guess. It leaves too much deciding. I can't have that for the way that I trade. I can't have that. I can't sit and try to decide, because I'll never decide. It needs to just be yes or no. It's a good piece of information to work with. Two missed trades, same trade, both after strong sell pressure. So here comes the retest potential, and it's gonna, I'm curious about the same thing. We have extended for the retest now. Do we get another extension, or do we at least get another test of the low? Something that does look completely different visually, though, is on the 5-minute chart how this one's forming versus how this one formed. This one did give a retest of the low, but it never extended. So I do like that this did not close back up above the indecision bar. So my confidence to take the re-entry trade would grow. If this green doji bar closed above our inside bar, I would have been looking for a big time potential reversal. So that did not happen. So let's see here. Entry retest, what happens? So here's the entry retest. Technically, it did retest entry here, which is interesting, but it did it before it broke a low. That's not normally how I would, like to see it. But for science again, see how this responds. visually on the 5-minute chart, it does look a lot more bullish than it did here. I would 100% disregard this trade, like I said a second ago, if this previous 5-minute candle closed above this close, but or this previous body, sorry, not the close. First entry short fail. This looking more and more bullish. Let's see here. Second entry short fails. Or if it even fires. Looking very bullish. One minute left on this 5-minute candle. An important 1 minute. There it is. Failure. So this series of events I need to record for later. It is different presentation wise than this one. This one, the retest of the entry came after a low extension. This one didn't. The retest of the entry came before it actually went. It is different. And it created a different pattern on the 5-minute chart as well because of it. We now have a 5-minute candle close higher than these indecision, the indecision candle mainly, which is quite bullish. I say the word bullish and then look at that bearish candle that prints like instantly. Oh, that's too funny. Retest of that low. I think that's perfect time for me to go pee. I'll be back. look at that hold. Makes sense. That's a decent little reversal pattern happening down there. Not really violating any swing points or anything like that though, right? We still have our trap level up here, which was respected, right? We ended up making another low for breaching that high. This becomes our negative swing low, or swing high, sorry. And we have a potential inside reversal happening right here. This now has broken above the technical low 2 entry, which is another confirmation for a bullish opposite move, which confirms that the 5-minute pattern looks good. Does look more bullish than bearish to me. We do know that the bears today have waited for larger pullbacks and then stepped in with full force, so something to remember. Definitely something to remember. Does feel good to really be stocking the same couple setups only this last couple weeks now. It's kind of the first time I've been successful in doing that in a long time, so it is helping me notice like these small little nuances within the setups, which is really good. It's like increasing my knowledge and edge within my couple little setups that I like. The low 1 high 1 entry though, setup is good, but I need to clarify it a little bit more on when to allow myself to take it. That's 2 misses now on the same setup today, and I felt that the last few times that I've traded that setup too. I noticed that I'm like indecisive on if I think I should take it or not when it's like close to the moving average but not quite there. Needs a little bit more clarification. not really anything for me to do right now. Just gotta wait. We have potential reversal. We have a low 1 that triggered with no interest. Don't think that I'm interested in a low 2 opportunity either, because this is coming off of a potential reversal pattern. A little bit of a double top happening there. A little bit of a tease follow through candle. Close it back high. Just super cheeky. Oh yeah. Big engulf candle, no close. Opposite push. Oh, is it still gonna come back down? Doji candle. Bearish close slightly. Still more bullish than bearish for sure. Kind of got like a slow grind up happening right now. We're in our second leg. Presentation wise though, I'm trying to remind myself that this does not look like the same as this for a 2-leg pullback. This looked really good visually for a 2-legged pullback from liquidity, but it didn't happen there. It ended up going much higher before it triggered over, but this one does not look the same at all. Oh yeah, you're right. That's right. Today's the 21st. That's good because I'm excited for some longer days to start happening. Start going the other way again. This being pitch black at 5 o'clock is friggin' bullshit. It's a bigger bear candle that we've seen on this grind up. Makes sense. It's tapping like the moving average on the 5-minute chart. It's not feel like it's total bait though. The presentation just doesn't make sense to me anymore, so I'm really not interested in a 2-leg pullback. I feel like it's going to tease it and it's going to fail. Our approach and presentation is just wrong. The signal is going to happen, and then in theory, if it fails, generally, like I say every time, that is an extremely strong signal in the opposite direction, just as strong as if the trade was going to work. All based on the concept that things try to do it twice. If it fails twice, then often it just, you know, human psychology gives up, goes the other way. First entry short, second entry short, failure, we get a move to the upside overall, or opposite of the trade direction. So that would have been the stop out right there of the trade signal. So under that thought process, let's see if we can get a strong move to regain this moving average. It could get messy as we get closer up here, but we'll see. So for science, for science, the entry would be at their stop outs. Stop would be under the signal for the 5 minute. It would be under, it would be at 81. Entry would be like 85.50. So it's like, you know, a little bit of a bigger risk, but it is off the 5 minute chart. So but we'll see if we get, you know, 1.5 or 2 to 1 off of the failure of the low 2. For journaling purposes. Good information. This is the setup last night that I tried to fade. So like I anticipated a failure of the setup. So I got in doing what I'm talking about right now, playing the failure of it. But I don't actually do that. That's never a trade that I've taken. I don't actually have a system designed for it or anything like that. It's just something that I'm noticing happens frequently if the second attempt fails. I mean, that's why I exited it, because it's not, you know, for consistency factor, I was like breaking a rule. But I do want to journal this properly so I can potentially incorporate this into my trading. Kind of goes hand in hand with the system I'm already using. Looks like a great candle. So we're about 1 to 1 right now. Trying to regain this moving average. Pretty good push so far. Almost 1.5. We're coming back up into our previous ceiling, so we may find some hesitation through here. For like a maximum bullish scenario, we get very minimal hesitation, maybe like 1 or 2 failure candles and then a quick squeeze right up through. But understanding that I would not want to be taking this trade and letting it retest the moving average, because I'd be giving away pretty much all of the trade. First sign of hesitation up here. We are getting fairly extended. I would exit the trade. Because I think we are just over 1.5 to 1. Entry would have been 85, 75, 81 and stop out. Not quite, actually. This is the exact reaction that you would want off of it, because it's a trap, right? The idea behind it is that people are still going to be trying to short, get the low 2 opportunity off the moving average. It's statistically like a great setup, but presentation wise and visual wise, it doesn't make sense anymore. So when the trap fires, it starts to go the other way. It's just as good to play the opposite position, because now all these trap traders are going to fuel the position in your favor, right? Them getting out, you're playing into their flush. And all the people that didn't get profits out or anything are getting squeezed. All the shorts are getting squeezed. Yeah, like the failure of that trade setup is just as strong of a trade. This is like a perfect textbook situation for it. Like, I'm gonna take a picture of this day after. Like the failure setup couldn't look any better. Textbook. Coming off the potential reversal pattern too. I think we got our 2-to-1 exit, right? 96 would have been take 10 points off of, yeah, that was 2-to-1 right there. Retest of the high, which we anticipate. I mean, to be honest, it's already made it a little bit further than I expected to get a little bit of hesitation. But we know that this was the recent swing that pushed the low, so there should be some hesitation up here. The approach, you know, I wouldn't be leaning on it for a new low or anything, but could get a little choppy. So that's why I would exit the trade as soon as we would start to get weakness, which is now. So, this being all said, we're going to be faced with another decision. We have the prerequisite for a high 1 opportunity in what we perceive to be a very bullish move. But, same thing, right? We are pulling back, so we are allowing the moving average to catch up, to not be so stretched. But same context, right? As here and here. First candle to make a high would be the trigger. But how far away from the moving average is too far, which is my problem currently. Don't have the confidence I do like this presentation wise very, very much. Sell off, check below, close above. Great visual presentation. First candle that made a high. Is going to give me a cheaper entry. I want to take it so bad, but I just don't know if I trust that distance. It's a struggle that I'm having. I need a more defined number. This trade should pop us over this swing point, would be the idea. I will say that if this fails and gives a two-legged pullback, that I would be interested as well, because it didn't double top. We do have a hanging man inside candle, no test above it though, giving a very cheap entry retest right now. All of my trades today have all been high one, low one entries. The one trade that I'm like not fully defined on. Looks like it might give us a two-legged pullback. The high one may fail. Double bottom so far. No extension. There's the fail. All right, this one would have been a stop out. So we have a two-leg move back to the moving average now. Let's see if we set up clean for a entry long. One thing I don't like now is the amount that this has gone below after we have a hanging man inside candle. If I get a clean reversal entry down here, I'll take one stab at it. It's trying to form a two bar. Stop out being 90.25 for me. Ooh. It's okay though. Didn't close half, but it did give the move. $93.50. $90.50. It's not checking lower first. Looks like it's just going to break out above. We get this trigger. Okay. Okay. We're looking for extension to break above here. So we have a pop up, we had a pullback which filled the order. Can we regain 93.75? That is the important step here. If we regain 90.75, I can remove some risk underneath this swing point. Doesn't look good. That's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. See if we can hold. Doesn't look like it wants to hold. Very interesting to see. So we're gonna, for science, we'll apply the same logic, right? So if I get stopped out here, this will be the failure of the two-leg pullback. Do we get an aggressive move now in the opposite direction again? That will be the interesting event, if so. Okay, so we failed the two-leg pullback. Now let's see how strong of a signal the failure is. Hasn't really done anything yet. Trying to hold, but I'm not playing a third. I gave it one swing. I like the presentation of it too. We are getting higher lows here. A couple candles in a row. See how it plays out. Didn't go off of the high two though. High two off the moving average. Don't think there was anything I could have done differently here. The 5-minute chart, we did give a little hangman inside candle, but we checked below it before above, so trade's still valid. Really nothing else that I would have done differently. I think take the trade 10 out of 10 times. But what I'm really interested now is I want to see if the failure of that trade will actually amount to another sell-off. It's trying to reverse here, it looks like. An attempt a little bit higher, a retest of the low, it closed high. But ultimately, not interested. It's trying to regain and hold the moving average. Five-minute chart liquidity is going to be right here, right above. But at that point, it's gaining. So the failure might not actually amount to anything this time. Hasn't been disqualified yet, but tried to go lower right here and failed. It ended up double bottoming, closed higher. Does have a local reversal trying to happen on the 1 minute chart, that is for sure, but still trying to keep in my brain that I'm not gonna FOMO into it, because for me it should have went, to be honest, it should have went twice. Now we've actually failed twice, right? Because there was a setup here and there was a setup here, both have which now failed. That is a big red flag for me, which still could be wrong, right? This could be an event where that doesn't matter, but not taking a third swing, that's for sure. I say it regained that local swing point now, so potential reversal is working. And if it does extend up and make a new high, I would expect it to come up and break above our red line now finally. But even if it does, that's okay. I'm not upset that I'll miss the move, because technically for me, the two setups that I would use that should have worked both have failed. So I'm okay with sitting this one out. And we were able to keep our loser nice and small. Definitely looks like it's trying. Held the retest of the W and then it broke up above that local 1 minute swing point. Hasn't rejected yet. It's looking okay. Yeah, so this is the move we were trying to capitalize on earlier. No FOMO, nothing for me to do here. Just the way that it goes. Difficult performance day for me. It does show me that I need, and I mean, I said it right away first thing too. The one setup that presented a few times today for us is the one setup that I don't have defined as much as the other two. So it shows too, right? But you can even see like the distance when this one fired, the low one, the distance from the moving average is relatively small. Same here, right? We pulled back multiple candles before it happened. This one here was a little bit further at the time. Now visually, this one did look nice though. I really enjoy looking for like this setup right here, the inside candle, and then a check below, and then a reverse back up, closing above the body of the inside candle. It's great presentation wise. But the distance from the moving average, you know, and it's only marginal. It's pretty small of a difference, really. But I need to define that a little bit better. I can't sit and like try to decide if it's good enough when it presents. There's no time for that. And even if I were to remove that, you know, the small margin here and just say it's not like extremely far away, it's, you know, somewhat close-ish, then, you know, this one paid out beautifully, more than 2-to-1, and gave the re-entry. Didn't get an extreme push though again, so you could have got like your 2-to-1, 2 and a little bit to 1, and then another easy, you know, 1-to-1. No trade is set up through the rest of it. And then here as well, right? You easily got your retest. This happened before extension, so there was no retest the other way, but this would have allowed to remove a little bit of risk. And then you got your full extension exit again. So we would have had entry at 79 entry. Stop out would have been 82. So 3 points. Then you got an easy 6 points down. So a nice 2-to-1 there again. So maybe we'd be up like 5R and then lost 1R here, lost 1R here. Ish. Still up plus 3R. But instead, you know, mistrade. So here's our extension locally. Should fully expect a break of the 5-minute one here. Yeah, there it is. So that was the target from these entries. Just took a little bit more than expected. So do we come back up now and challenge our trap entry from this morning? Hourly chart sitting right there. Touching. It's getting close. Definitely could. Which ultimately would be a trap level created on the hourly chart, because we created a double top which actually broke through the support, which then you would expect, right, a retest failure for the next start to step down. But this thing breaks up above. It's the opposite. There it is, a little poke above right there. Oh, that's not actually the hourly swing. Sorry. Up here is. But we did poke through our trap level from this morning, so our yellow line is removed. Which I guess was respected here and reversed from, so makes sense. There it is. So we achieved it. Impressive. Impressive. That's a strong push. And we're into major liquidity now. Should be some profit taking here, I would imagine. We're still pumping. I was kind of holding on here to see if I would get a mean reversion off this liquidity point, but I don't want to step in front of a train either. We are very stretched right now. That's a lot of candles in a row, one timing in a direction. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling too. I was watching the price action in case, especially around the big exhaustion bar, but it did not react at all. So it's a big 2-bar. Outside candle too. Closed low. If I got that on a double test, it'd be a great signal, but does our dip candle close higher than our indecision candle? Negative. Not really giving me what presentation that I wanted. This outside down candle seems to be holding us for now. $12.49 seems like a good time. Do my review. It does, it does. So we opened this morning with a large gap up, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we did get quite a gap up this morning. There was a little bit of setups that I was watching pre-market. We did get a two-legged pullback on the 5-minute chart, which did hold nicely and give a new low. And if I would have not taken that one, you did get a straight 5-minute or 1 minute one-time push straight down, and then your low one entry right off the moving average retest. It was kind of picture perfect. And then after that, we had the market open volatility, which ended up being a megaphone pattern, which no opportunities during the megaphone pattern phase. Now this is where I hesitated a little bit. When we popped out of the megaphone and we started pushing to the downside aggressively, we were way out of the megaphone pattern at this point, and we got our first pullback. Now at the time, the moving average was up here a little bit, and this is something that I need to correct. I need to like systemize the distance that I'm, calling stretched a little bit more, because I couldn't decide if I wanted to execute the low one opportunity or not. We had the prerequisite as far as candles in a row. We had the aggressive move, and we weren't super far stretched from the mean or from the moving average. So sure, take the exit or take the entry as the first candle to make a low. Got triggered in right there and literally dumped to the very low in the same candle. Gave your full target extension right here. Pull back right back up in. Retests, I think it was 2 ticks from the re-entry. Yep, 2 ticks. And then we get another test of the low. Now this one did not extend a second time, and it actually regained that move. So then we were this second entry for that trade that is currently just part of homework, not a real trade signal, would have probably been taken out around the regain of this area here, because this candle tried to go and then it regained it. So at that point, we're going to come back up and go higher and test higher because we failed to go lower. So ditch the trade at break even. And then basically at that point, we were kind of looking at this being a potential low. I was stalking a low 2 opportunity as the 2-legged pullback right off the moving average. Again, it kind of formed, but not ideal, right? I didn't get a signal bar that was at least half of the body of the previous candle. I didn't get an inside reversal pattern. I didn't get anything like that. So it really wasn't something for me to take action here. It did start to work, and then in my head, I was like, okay, do I look for a re-entry where I would have entered the first place? And I really fought back and forth in my head. And the reason that I ended up not doing it was because the market formed a perfect, what I like to use as a reversal pattern right here. We had to find an exhaustion bar, right? A bigger bar than the last couple of the same color, followed by a small inside bar at the extreme, followed by a test of the other side with trend, and then reverse and close significantly above the inside bar indecision candle. That right there, these 2 candle price action is what made me not do it. And visually looking at this on the 5-minute chart, it still looked good, for the downside, but this factor right here made me not do it. And instead I waited and I said, okay, maybe we get a 2-legged pullback off the moving average on the 5-minute chart, depending on how long this takes. So as we were popping back up over this high right here, I was stalking a failure, which would signal the 2-legged pullback, which presentation wise, this was great. It was phenomenal, looking for another leg down. But I didn't give it. It popped up a lot farther than I anticipated. And that was basically that. At that point in time, I'll be honest, I was pretty much disregarding the fact all around of the move back down. So we waited, no trade signal, no nothing for me to do here. And then we got this big bear candle start to go. And then we got a second one. And then visually at that point, my brain clicked back in and said, we are getting a 2-bar reversal signal now off the moving average, which is technically now firing the second attempt to short. So no, it didn't happen at the liquidity spot, but it did happen relatively around the moving average again. But there was no actionable trade here for me. There's no way there was. Doesn't matter how I try to chalk it up, there was not. The signal candle is huge. It did go to the full target. On the 1 minute chart, there was nothing here that gave me any indication to get into this trade. So unfortunately, this trade, there was nothing for me to do off of it. So moving on, we get a very strong push all the way down, and then we get another low one opportunity right here. Strong, aggressive moving market, right? Kind of almost like cheeky, because we were trying to correct. Now, this was starting to look fairly stretched, but then we did like multiple candles with a pullback again, allowing moving average to come back. We were getting closer and closer. Struggled with the same deciding factor here again. Is this too far? Is this quote unquote stretched, or should I take the entry? I couldn't decide. Again, same problem that happened here. So when the breakout entry below, being the first candle to make a low triggered right here, I did not get involved. Price came down, we tested the low, retested entry, and then proceeded to go to hit full target. So this was the retest of entry, which would have allowed us to remove some risk, and then there was your full target. Now, visually, this versus this is something I want to talk about for a sec, because in my journaling, I'm noticing very frequently that if price triggers the low one, high one opportunity and goes straight to target, often we come straight back and check a re-entry of price, just like what happened here. Re-entry or retest of entry, sorry. And then we get a second extension. Didn't happen that way here. It actually retested entry off of equal lows basically, and then went. So should I have retested or retried again here? Well, it doesn't make as much sense here now because we've already tested the price. So that's kind of, it makes sense to me that way, logically, right? This happened differently than this happened. And then that was nothing. Visually looking at the 5 minute chart, we kind of have a reversal pattern happening here. And I'll be honest, if this 5 minute candle would have closed a little bit higher than the body of this indecision candle, I would have been fully on board for reversal. I was like kind of accepting it and basically not getting involved to the short side at all through here. But I wasn't like super gung-ho looking for a long either. I was just kind of like, eh. But we knew that there was potential reversal happening here. So we were patient, and then we got this is a nice homework entry. We got the two-legged pullback back to the moving average again in the downtrending market. Now, this is where the perfect situation for a failure of the pattern to play out, because visually looking at this pullback versus this pullback is very different, right? This does not look like a reversal pattern to me. This does look like a reversal pattern to me. We were getting nice bullish pressure off what looked to be, and if this entry failed, the two-leg pullback failed, we know that it's an extremely strong signal in the other direction. And it was a perfect textbook opportunity here. I'm going to take a picture of it. Actually, I'm going to do it right now. Boom. It played out perfectly, right? Stopped out right here, and then literally one-timed all the way up to hit the 2-to-1 target. Very interesting, and it seems powerful. Like, it's definitely need to keep recording this to really potentially add something like this to what I'm doing, because it's it kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm already doing. Like, it's literally playing the failure of my strategy, of my AAA strategy. Because now that I've been doing only a couple, I'm visually starting to see when they're like exceptionally strong or they look exceptionally weak. And this was the perfect opportunity to play the failure. So moving on now again. Right. So we get our push up. Now this is where I'm kind of like, I'm leaning long, and I'm quite interested in getting long, but need to see the right price action. We got a visually beautiful high one entry for me right here. Nice strong push, quick sell off, indecision candle, check below the indecision candle, close above indecision body. Couldn't be better. However, Same thing, right? Distance from the moving average at the time. It was like down here. What's too far? Same thing, right? I really struggled with it. I didn't take it, even though like I wanted to FOMO this really, really bad. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wanted to just join the bid, but because I had not taken that trade entry, now this would be the third signal of the day. It just felt wrong to do it here because I knew that this one was even more stretched than the other two. So I'm glad I didn't, but I was more interested if I got a second opportunity, right? Get a two-legged pullback to the moving average. Then I was definitely interested, and we did. We finally succeeded. We got our two-leg pullback to the moving average. We gave a nice 2-bar reversal, which closed, back down. But as we know, that opposite, like it's kind of like trying to be a shooting star signal at the bottom of the pullback is a good signal in the opposite direction. Same thing, right? Hammer up here is the opposite. So I played into that. I waited for the chart to give me the trigger, and then I bought, a quick pullback test. Now, got stopped out. Market went without me, but that's fine. I wasn't interested in playing a third opportunity. I never play the third opportunity. So, and at the time I was even more so against playing the third opportunity because the first and second that technically were my systems failed. Both failed, which, most of the time, if that happens, it's a very strong, like, you're wrong. Like this is not a trend pullback. This is a trend reversal, and stop trying to get into it. So this was a time that my system was wrong, and that's fine. But most of the time, if these setups fail, I know to not keep trying. So I'm perfectly okay with missing this move because I did follow my system. So that's a win amongst itself. And that pretty much concludes the day, really. That was the day. Only ended up taking this one trade, this one 2-leg pullback entry, because I was quite bullish, And we did have we had general good reads of the market today. This one was a little bit of a surprise, but we were kind of on the right side. We didn't get cut up a bunch. I kept my loss really small. I did, pretty happy with how I performed as far as the parts that I did perform on, but this shows me right now, like, very clearly that this high one, low one system needs to be, I need to create a stronger definition of what is stretched, because couldn't pull the trigger on good trades today. Was the exact setup that we want, but couldn't do it because I was unsure on what was considered stretched. So I've already, like, that is identifying a weak point for me. What's going on here? We had our first high 1 pull back to the moving average. Now we've got our high 2 triggered. Technically, we did a high 1 on the 5-minute as well. This is now the second try to go long. Pulled back. We look like we're trying to hold these tops. Looks pretty bullish. We are pretty far, but that will catch up quickly. The pullback attempt to hold what we broke out of does look like it is succeeding so far. That's not ideal. That is not ideal. I'm not going to take any more trades though. I'm past my time. I'm past 1 o'clock now. For the time being, I still cut myself off at this time. this does look like it's trying to close the body down lower than the indecision candle close, which is poor. It's ideally not what we'd want to see here for continuation to the upside. We could see another pullback. But yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I really do. And good luck if you're trading any more this session. Nice trade you took earlier. Did you end up having any other trade setups today, or just the one? Failure looks to be happening potentially. Had setups, but just took the one. Yeah. She was a little difficult day. My review shows me pretty key pieces of information from today. I didn't have to finish the day the way that I did. It just shows me that I need to systemize that just a little bit better on that typical trade entry. But yeah, good day. And yeah, man, take care. See you tomorrow. Slow market so fast. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we'll be back at it again first thing, same time tomorrow morning. Take care.